Welcome to the Fabricated Metals Podcast, powered by Process Metals Innovators, your trusted partner in smart, scalable fabrication. I'm your host, Dana Hanson, and in every episode, we explore the trends, tools, and technologies shaping the future of manufacturing. Whether it's sourcing smarter, improving lead times, or streamlining production, we share real-world insights to help you stay ahead in an ever-evolving industry. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Fabricated Metals Podcast. We're already on episode 3, and this one is going to be very exciting for everybody as we're going to talk about our training center. We're very excited as we have launched a training center here internally at PMI that Travis, he's our training coordinator here. He's going to really dig into some details on how it has improved everything all around for our whole entire company. As for us, it's not just steel that's important, but it's our people. And in turn, with the people and the training, this is the foundation for the best safety, the best quality, and the best innovation there is. So let's jump into it. We have Chris Canard here, and we have Travis Parent and myself, Dana Hanson. Maybe we can start with a little introduction of Travis, as he has not joined our podcast yet. So Travis Parent, can you just introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Travis Parent. I'm the training coordinator. I've been here with PMI for about 4 years now. And I started here as a manager for the fabrication department for welding and press brake, laser cutting. And before that, I was in the military for about 16 years, where I got a background in instructor duty, which kind of led to where I'm at right now in the training world.
Thank you, Travis, for your introduction. Now we're going to dive right into why training is so important for PMI and all the investments that we've made, all the partnerships that we've made with our school districts and everything. We're just very excited to tell you all about it. So Chris, we'll have you start, and maybe can you explain how we got to where we are today with our state-of-the-art training center?
You bet. Thanks, Dana. Thanks, Travis. For a long, long time, we've really felt that training our people was one of the most important aspects of what we can do here. Training helps people feel important. It helps them stay on task. It helps them stay with the company. As you know, and everyone out there, right now we're all facing some pretty serious labor shortages. And because of that, retention of good employees is absolutely critical to performing for your customers. So one piece of that, we've created for a long time internal training programs, but we wanted to add to that. We wanted to create something called PMI University. So we've had that in the back of our minds for a long time. As Travis came in with all his experience in training, we were really able to start to put that to work. And we developed a bunch of classes that I'll let Travis talk about here in a moment. But we also had a really unique opportunity through a workforce resource innovation grant that we did with state funding and federal funding that paired some dollars with what PMI was ready to invest and allowed us to build an actual training center right here at our corporate site. That training center includes a classroom where we can bring kids in from local high schools or groups in from technical colleges, and they feel at home in that classroom doing book work and listening to instructor-led training. And then we built the actual training center with all different pieces of equipment in it that basically mimic our production floor and many production floors of other companies around the area. This allows kids to come in and get their hands dirty, start trying some different things, start doing some design work on CAD computers that we have available in the classroom, and really start to develop and bring to life some of the projects that they found interesting. And again, we'll talk a little more in detail about that. But what this is all about is getting kids interested in the world of manufacturing and helping develop the employees of the future that we desperately, desperately need. So we're pretty excited to have this level of training at a smaller company. I think it's very impressive. I think it shows in our quality here that we output to our customers, where the metrics that we track, we're shipping 99.75% good product to our customers, which is a pretty phenomenal rate. Sure. And I can say it's all due to the training and the dedication that the management group has put in, and certainly the time that employees are taking to learn and do their very best with the work that they're doing.
So yeah, that was a great explanation. And, I think about our impact in the training field there. And for me, I kind of measure that off of our success, because success to me is measured by the impact that we make, not about how much money we make or how well we do with our customers or anything. It's more about the impact we have on our employees' lives, our customer relations, and as well as the community. Training for me has always been such a large part of my life. just, through the military experience and then coming over here and taking care of my employees when I was a manager and moving into the training side of things, I was able to access a wider range of employees and help out more people. So now with all these programs we have in place, like PMI University, which is a great example, an idea that Chris had been brainstorming for a long time. He brought it to me and we made it happen. And we've had a lot of good interaction with that, a lot of good positive feedback from that. People want to grow. It's their nature. I approach things kind of from a psychological aspect, and people want to learn more and they want to challenge themselves generally. I haven't met anybody that doesn't want to do that kind of thing, right? So by providing them these kind of opportunities in that training, they can learn more about all the different processes that we offer here and be more well-rounded. So in a sense, we're benefiting ourselves as an organization, but we're also benefiting the individuals that make up that organization. And we can literally train to every single thing that we have here. We have welders, we have a press brake, we have a metal worker, or the iron worker, our piranha, we have a plasma cutter, we have milling machines, we have CNC machines, all those different things we can train to now. And we have the talent here. If there's something I don't know, we have plenty of talent here to help me understand it so that we can show our employees to understand it. And that goes a long way. Mm-hmm. And we can bring in the communities like the Bloomer High School or whoever. It doesn't have to be a Bloomer. It could be any of the high schools around here, and bring them in and get them introduced into manufacturing and learn a trade and get them better suited for the real world when they're done.
So Travis, remind me of some of the different topics that we've trained on. I know listeners might be curious about, it's not just manufacturing topics all the time. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's soft skills, sometimes it's HR related things. Mm-hmm. Can you give us kind of a quick rundown of the different things we've done for our employees?
Yeah, absolutely. We've done blueprint reading, we've done GD&T. I built one on leadership communication. We've done, what's another one? We talked about press brake, not necessarily the skill itself, but what press brake is, kind of an introduction to that. Let's see, what other things have I talked about?
I think we've talked about we're an ESOP company, so we're employee owned. Yep. So we've looked at possibly doing some financial courses for our employees, because when we're sitting in our large meetings that we have every quarter with all the employees, we talk sometimes about income statements and balance sheets and the different parts of our company and what things happen on the floor that affect our share value, that affect financials. I think we've talked about doing some training even on financial documents. Mm-hmm. So a real wide variety of things that we want to introduce our team members to, because again, as Travis mentioned, the psychology piece of this, the more you know about your craft, the more you know about the company and the why that we do things, it's just the more engaged employees become. And I think we've already seen real positive pieces coming from that training that we've been doing.
Mm-hmm. It also allows us to kind of reemphasize our quality standards and the importance of why we have quality, not just from a customer relations standpoint, but why is quality a thing in our world and in our environment, right? There's a lot of things that lead up to that. We talk about safety and how that affects our bottom line, right? All those different things, mm-hmm. topics that we reemphasize to kind of help our employees see the bigger picture and not just be narrowly focused.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a concentrated effort to improve training across the board. Travis has been a big part of it. Obviously, our employees' involvement have been great. They've actually made some suggestions on classes too as they go through different things and feel like there's something we'd like to learn a bit more about so we can add more color to it. And we've certainly taken that on and tried to provide some classes that way. Let's talk a little more about the training center itself, because that is fairly unique. In our world, I haven't heard of many companies that have gone to this level of investment to help young people get involved in manufacturing. Travis, tell me a little bit about how last year was our very first year with our first fabrication class coming from the high school. Tell me a little bit about your experience with the kids, maybe some of the activities that you were directly involved with and how that played out as that semester went along.
Well, I found it actually pretty refreshing to work with kids again. In the military, I was training 18-year-olds, people fresh out of high school. They go through boot camp, then they come to me and they learn their craft, which was welding. I taught welding for the most part. So having that interaction with the youth again in that function was really awesome for me. Kind of brought me back to my roots a little bit. And with that class specifically, I think, the biggest help that I could provide with them was the welding. I learned quite a few things myself with that. I learned how to run a plasma cutter.
Travis and I learned how to break a plasma cutter a few different times.
Yeah.
Really good at that.
Yeah, but we figured it out, and they got to see a lot of different steps in the process of making a part, like the fire pits that we made. It was the big project that we had them do. We worked on design work. We worked on quoting work on how to actually price out materials and what this product would cost depending on what you got for it and the hours that you put into it, all that sort of stuff, and compare prices to, overseas prices. How would this look in China, right? That was stuff that I learned. They say in teaching you learn, and learning you teach, right? So that was kind of big for me. And I think the kids got a lot out of it. They really enjoyed being there. Every one of them that was there, I think, was pretty well engaged. And I saw a lot of good motivation out of quite a few of them. They were taking on projects on their own and designing their own projects. And that was really awesome to see, I think.
It was neat to watch as they developed through the semester, their teamwork. As they got together moving some heavy fire pits. These weren't easy. It wasn't easy to bend these pits. It wasn't easy to weld them. And as Travis said, they decided on their designs, which was fantastic, and we cut those designs out. But the teamwork aspect was really fun to watch how those kids came together. I thought that was great. We also did a reverse engineering project during that semester, which was very interesting to see the kids get involved in that. There was a teacher at the school that does some agricultural work, and he had a small part off one of his plows that broke, and he needed a new part. And so he brought it into us, and the kids drew up a part, designed it, made sure that it was appropriate to work on his plow. And sure enough, they created a replacement part for him, and were able to sell that to him. And they got themselves some pizzas for lunch one day based on their hard work. So that was kind of a fun project as well. And then at the end, we built some park benches. Yes. Why don't you talk a little bit about that project?
Yeah, those park benches actually came out really well, I think. And we found a design on the internet, or I think Darren found the design, and we basically reverse engineered it based off of what we saw, because I don't think we had any blueprints for it.
Correct.
So all of them were able to get onto AutoCAD, which is our design software, reverse engineer this park bench and create it to match what we saw in the picture and put it together. And they actually got it done really quick. And I think it was more of a culmination of all the things that they have learned already in the class between design work, working together as a team, welding. We didn't have to do any press brake with that. It was all tube. Saw, using the cold saw, all that. It was really neat to see them put all those skills that they've learned into one project and make a good product. Like, those benches came out great. It was really good.
It was a good project, and we really didn't provide much direction.
No.
And they took it on themselves and made it happen. And what was neat, the fire pit work was all sheet metal. And then we moved them to tube work, which is very different in welding, very different in almost all aspects of fabrication. And the kids really did a great job. Finally, at the end, I think we had 5 or 6 of these benches that then were donated to our local park, so that during fairs and things of this sort, people had more places to sit down. And they actually worked together with the wood shop at the high school to provide the seating area on these tube type benches. So it was really an all hands on effort that made it happen. So that was great to see.
All right. So one thing I think is really neat. I pulled into work and I see this big CVTC welding trailer outside. I'm like, what is this? Travis, what is that doing in our parking lot?
Well, that's a great question. That trailer is actually, I guess you could say, the first of its kind almost. I don't know any other place that has a welding trailer. Obviously, it's not ours. It belongs to CVTC, right? But they partnered with us. Kind of part of this whole grant that we have with this training center allows CVTC to come in and use our facilities to be able to train welders. And the Weld Academy is made up of high school students from the surrounding area. I think actually some of the students that have been in that Weld Academy have actually worked with us as youth apprentices, which is another great program that we offer. So they're basically honing their skills through CVTC, which is free to them. They don't have to pay to do any of this. It's taking a college level class or a tech level class through CVTC, and it's all kind of funded from the high school. The high school helps or partners with CVTC to bring them in here and be able to do this. And we've had quite a bit of good interaction with that. I mean, we have 8 welders, 8 welders just in our facility alone, and they're full. So we need to bring in this trailer to be able to have more space for welders or for these kids to come out here and do welding.
And we had a youth apprenticeship win an award.
Yes, we've had actually multiple youth apprentices.
Yeah, go to nationals.
Yeah,
do fairly well in the Skills USA competition that is nationwide. We've had actually 3 of our youth apprentice employees that I can think of right now that won the state competition for Skills USA through Chippewa High School, and then went to nationals, some of them placing as high as 2nd or 3rd place.
That's so cool.
Which is great, you know, and they were valuable employees to us.
And when Dana and Travis mention a trailer, this isn't just a small trailer. This is a 48-foot semi-trailer that in the back of it is 8 different weld stations, all with the air handling systems with enough electricity. It's a heck of a cord. It's about this big that goes to this trailer and sucks the energy out of PMI. But it's so cool because it is mobile. The CBTC team can take this to other high schools. They've done on-site training at different manufacturers when they're looking for certain weld training. So it's a really neat kind of idea on how to get something mobile to get out, especially to rural areas, and give kids a chance, a shot at welding. So all in all, you know, when I look back at what we've created here at PMI, both with the training center for the kids and the technical colleges, and most proud of PMI University, it's just been so impressive to see Travis step in, make this dream of our management team come true, and see our employees absorb it. The wide variety of classes that Travis has created has really created that all-around employee that you would love to have working at your shop. You know, the soft skills, the things about our financials, things HR related, and of course, where they're getting their hands on equipment, the safety aspects, and just a level of higher learning. So truly, when we're doing manufacturing, it's excellence. It's really people putting their best foot forward. So it's become a part of who we are. It's become a monthly process where people are in these classes, taking the classes. They take surveys and they tell us they enjoy them. So it's been really nice. It probably gives them, 45 minutes off their feet, which isn't too bad once a month, but it's really become something that is a part of our culture, and it's making PMI really that supplier you want to be going to for your tough work.
Okay, so when I'm out selling, a lot of the customers ask how we're going to stay in business. How are you going to find employees? Okay. So what do you guys say about this? Because now we have this training center. We're training youth. We've got youth that are coming in for this youth apprenticeship program. We've got kids doing the shop classes. Like, we're getting them excited about manufacturing. And like, what are you hearing from them? Because again, I think back when I was in school, manufacturing wasn't really something you thought about doing. You thought about being a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse. You had to do something like that. But as the 3 of us sit here, we've got great careers in manufacturing company. And these kids are seeing the potential of what they can do. So can you go a little bit more into some of that?
Well, I think there's been quite a bit of stigmatism in the past over manufacturing and learning trades, right? Even when I was growing up, when I signed up for the military, they put me as a welder, and I didn't even know what welding was, right? And I grew up in the city, maybe that has something to do with it. But, I didn't know what those things were, and I had no exposure to that when I was growing up. So now there's been, I think, a significant shift in our culture and what we're promoting for more productive, engaging occupations, right? We want we want the youth to not necessarily go out and get an arts degree or anything like that. We promote more of these trade jobs because we know that we need that. Our whole country is kind of built on manufacturing, right? And doing these things like welding and machining and stamping and everything in between. So I feel that the youth today that I've seen that have been exposed to this have really opened up to it quite well from my perspective. I haven't met anybody that's younger, high school kids or even college level people that are exposed to this and not enjoy it. I haven't met anybody not enjoy this. I think there's something to be said, again, on the psychological aspect of doing something with your hands and being able to be proud of something that you put together. I think adds a lot of weight to that. Yeah,
and I think these kids coming in and just seeing all that PMI has to offer, all the different things that they could do, they love it. They're excited about it. They're telling their friends. I have kids in high school myself, so I know that they talk because I hear it at my dinner table. And that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're absolutely both correct. And it's been fun to watch these kids come in and try something different and really expand their minds. I think when you go through the high schools, we were all there at one time. Mm-hmm. I mean, everyone's been 16, 17, 18 before.
Yep. You
don't always know what you want to do. And in fact, most cases, you don't know what you want to do. And I think some of the careers, Dana, that you mentioned, the doctors, the policemen, the firemen, we often highlight that throughout high school and see those careers as being something obvious that someone could chase after. Mm-hmm. When it's manufacturing, people drive past these large buildings in development, manufacturing, business developments, and there's no windows, right? You can't see inside what's going on in these buildings. But what's going on inside them is all the things that we use every single day,
right?
The manufacturing of them and the various careers, the wide array of careers that fall under the manufacturing umbrella. So as these kids come in, and many times they're the kids that maybe they're stereotypes. They're the ones that were in the auto class or the shop class, and they may not have been at the top of geometry or, like myself, horrible at anything called English. And we want to do something else. We knew our minds just weren't basically molded to be in maybe a 4-year college or in some of more technical things. Mm-hmm. And we just fell into this idea that we can design things in our minds, we can build them with our hands, and we're really good at it. But we're giving them the chance to really put that into practice and find some things that they never thought of before. Like there's quality technicians that work at manufacturers, and they play a huge role in making sure that parts are produced to the correct print and all those other things that customers are expecting. They didn't know that existed. There's material handlers, there's purchasing managers, there's salespeople, right? Because salespeople don't typically come into the high school and talk about the great world of sales, right? We're too busy trying to earn a dollar. So it's just a great opportunity, again, to show these kids a path. And a path that is very, very positive, and a path that's needed so widely throughout the United States in the world of manufacturing, because that labor shortage is real and that labor shortage isn't going away. And we found through COVID how many things are not produced here domestically that really need to be for the safety of our country, for the easy flow of merchandise to all of our consumers that are asking for more and more every day. So we're excited to be a part of the process of developing this next generation of kids that are interested in manufacturing careers.
So how the training is going to help our customers. I have been a salesperson here for a long time, been to lots of customer visits where at the table we're talking about how are we going to get product out the door. They internally can't get product out the door because they don't have enough people. They don't have enough staff. It's just labor shortages that it's everywhere. So for us, we said, you know what? This training center is it, because we're going to start training our youth to grow into these positions that will eventually retire and be done, and starting them from the time that they're very young and they're very excited, they're energetic, they're like ready to go. We're so excited of what they're going to become for us. So that really was setting the pace right away from the time that they're young. And again, getting them in here, Travis, having them see all the different things we have to offer here. They get excited, and a lot of them are actually wanting to stay here and work. They don't even want to go to college anymore. They want to stay here, and they can see this career path that looks amazing for them. And I think for our customers, they're excited to hear this because they know that this is what we need to be able to keep being a great supplier for them. We need people, and those people are what are making a difference.
Yeah, Dana, I think you've seen it and heard it from customers very specifically. I know we've had projects that we've taken on that have come from companies that literally ran out of labor.
Yes.
They couldn't find enough people to do the work that was being asked. I know when we've talked to, we're part of the supply chain for Subaru, and Subaru was incredibly impressed that we had the forethought to be looking at what's going to happen 10 years from now. Right? Who's going to be at PMI making parts for us within a decade? Mm-hmm. And that's all part of working with kids that are 16, 17 years old. They are our next generation of having the right team to produce the manufactured parts that are needed. And I think also some of our military accounts have been very impressed with our action in training and making sure that, again, we're developing this next generation of people that are available to supply the necessary parts to heavy armored trucks and things like that, that are protecting our country and protecting countries across the pond that are facing some pretty serious threats. So it's important stuff. And I think the kids realize it. They get on the bus, so they're pretty excited to be a part of it.
It's so amazing when I go to like the lunchroom for a snack break. The class is full. There's so many kids in there. It's awesome to see.
Mm-hmm.
So the future of our training programs, I'm very excited for. We're going to continue to grow this. We have quite a few new high schools that are very interested in what Bloomer's doing with their kids, and we've invited them all in. We have the tech colleges that are constantly on the beat of what's really next in learning, because there's a lot of changes for all of us in manufacturing. The advent of AI and how it's going to be used in our plants. Automation, which is a really big piece of what we're doing to move forward as a manufacturer. I think Travis has some ideas on different classes that will be introduced rather soon to help work in those areas. Is there something that comes to mind immediately, Travis?
For automation, yes, we do have the new FANUC robot that we just got in. So I really want to be touching a lot on that one. I think that's going to really be a nice kind of selling point to come to our training facility and learn about robotics, because we have that there that we can train people to. I recently just got robotic training a couple of weeks ago to learn more about programming and things like that. So now I can take all that information that I've learned and translate that to our employees and anybody who wants to know how to run a robot and be successful at it. So I do have some stuff in the works, kind of in development phases at the moment, taking all the information that I have already and kind of combining it together. We do have other things that we do use to train, like Dazuki. I have a lot of what I would call standard operating procedures through this program that we have, where it allows us to build guides to follow to run a piece of equipment, like our welding robot, for example. We have one where we have multiple guides for that particular piece of equipment that shows you how to program it, how to run it, how to follow all the different precautions for safety, quality, all those different things, established into an easy to understand format that, any employee can really come in and learn. In fact, we had an operator back there who didn't have any welding experience really, and he worked at Dairy Queen before he worked here, right down the street. And he came in and he was a master at that robot from the training that we gave him. He could learn it and, better than anybody that I could see out there. So, having that kind of training in place and those programs for robotics and, the things that are the trends that are rising in manufacturing is going to be kind of vital to our success and our employees' success for sure. So one of the main benefits that we have for our development and mentorship of our employees is cross-training as well. And essentially we can take any of our employees out there and train them on multiple different stages or operations of our facility, especially when we have staff shortages or we have people call in or whatever. We have that ability where we can take an employee from one area that, is generally working in that area and put them in a even more complicated area, and they perform well. For example, we have our automation in one of our stamping areas, and we needed some press brake employees. We had a little bit of a shortage there, right? So we needed to have some people trained to be able to perform in that area. Just today, I made an observation on one of those employees that we pulled from our automation side and put over there on press brake, and they perform flawlessly. They're natural, and they've only been over there maybe a month of training, and they were already proficient on one of the machines that we have back there. I didn't even have to really correct him at all. I had my observation checklist and went through it, and he followed every single step and made a perfect part. And was able to correct it when he found deficiencies or discrepancies with it.
And what's amazing about that is our customer base. We are a job shop here. We don't make our own products. So we don't know exactly what orders are always going to be coming in the door. There could be orders that week you need 8 people on press brake, and maybe the next week you only need 5. So that's fantastic that we can float people as they're needed.
Yeah. And through continued mentorship with our employees out there across the board, from top down, I think that's really important to find out what really drives people and what motivates them to want to learn more about the different processes that we have, and help them reach their goals. I think we have a lot of great leadership here that knows and has experienced quite a bit to be able to help them reach what they want to achieve.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's excellent points. And Dana, that makes me think of, that's a great topic for a future podcast, is what PMI's learned about automation. What it's done to our employees, what it's done for our customers and really what our shop looks like. I know years ago, most of us were looking at automation to save some dollars. Can we be more efficient? Can we be faster by adding automation? Today, it's a necessity because we've had situations where some cells of presses were operating with 9 direct employees. That's now down to 2 based on the addition of robots. None of those people walked out the door. Some of them were retrained on automation programming. Some were retrained on automation maintenance. And then others were used elsewhere in the plant because we were able to open up new capacity because we didn't need 8 people stuck in a single cell. We now needed 2. So that's where automation is just a whole new thing for everyone in manufacturing because it's just paving the way to being able to operate with less employees during a significant labor shortage. So we'll have to talk about that in a future podcast. So we've covered a lot today about our training center. We've covered different things about PMI University. If these are things you're interested in as a manufacturer, listening to our podcast, wondering more, can I learn more about this? We're happy to share because we know what we've learned through this process can be helpful to everybody. It's important for Wisconsin and the United States for manufacturing. So we're happy to share stories, even show our tour our facility, let people know what we're doing here. If you happen to be listening and you're in our community here locally or in even the state, we'd be happy to introduce you to some folks through the high school, through the technical colleges that develop programs like this, such as Youth Apprentice and different paths that kids can follow. We've even done speaking at different high schools to talk about career development, because I know that's a big piece for local high schools and kids. So if you're in our community, give us a call and let us know that's something you're more interested in, and we can come talk to you about all the different things we've been doing and share some ideas that might be helpful.
So again, this podcast was really all about our training center and how we have evolved this training center, how Travis has been working with our youth, we're working with our own employees here to train them so that we can put out the best quality in the industry. That is our ultimate goal, because we know as a customer listening in, you want everything to show up at your door and be perfect the first time. And that is what we are trying so hard to do. Again, Chris mentioned our quality rating was at 99.75%. I mean, that is so amazing. And that means our people here really, truly care, and our training is working, and you can see it. You can see it by the products that we're making. So thanks again for listening in to our podcast today. Thanks again, Travis and Chris.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fabricated Metals Podcast, brought to you by Process Metals Innovators. I'm Dana Hanson, and I hope today's conversation gave you new ideas and perspectives for building smarter. Be sure to follow the show and leave us a review if you found this helpful. And don't forget, you can download our free fabrication buyer's guide at pmillc.com/guide for expert tips on supplier selection, lead times, and avoiding common sourcing mistakes. Until next time, keep forging ahead with PMI.